The Butter Battle Book by Dr. Seuss. On the last day of summer, 10 hours before fall. In those days, of course, the wall wasn't so high, and I could look any Zook square in the eye. If he dared to come close, I could give him a twitch, with my tongue-tuft prickly snitchberry switch. For a while he stood silent. Then finally he said, with a very sad shake of his very old head, "As you know, on this side of the wall we are the Ukes. On the far other side of this wall live the Zooks." Then my grandfather said, "It's high time you knew of the terribly horrible thing that Zooks do. In every Zook house and in every Zook town, every Zook eats his own bread with the butter side down. But we Ukes, as you know, when we breakfast or sup, spread our bread," Grandpa said, "with the butter side up. That's the right honest way." Grandpa gritted his teeth. "So you can't trust a Zook who spreads bread underneath. Every Zook must be watched. He has kinks in his soul. That's why, as a youth, I made watching my goal, watching Zooks for the Zook watching border patrol." In those days, of course, the wall wasn't so high. I could look any Zook square in the eye. If he dared to come close, I could give him a twitch with my tongue-tuft's prickly snitchberry switch. For a while that worked fine. All the Zooks stayed away and our country was safe. Then one terrible day, a very rude Zook by the name of Vanich snuck up and slingshotted my snickberry switch. With my broken off switch, with my head hung in shame, to the chief Ukaroo in great sorrow I came. But our leader just smiled. He said, "You're not to blame, and those Zooks will be sorry they started this game. We'll dress up, right up in the fancier suit. We'll give you a fancier slingshot to shoot." And he ordered the boys in the back room to figure how to build me some sort of triple sling jigger. With my triple sling jigger, I sure felt much bigger. I marched to the wall with a great vim and great vigor, right up to Vanich with my hand on the trigger. "I'll have no more nonsense," I said with a frown, "from Zooks who eat bread with the butter side down." Vanich looked quite sickly. He ran off quite quickly. I'm unhappy to say he came back that day in a spiffy new suit with a big new machine, and he snarked as he said, looking frightfully mean, "You may fling those hard rocks with your triple sling jigger, but I also now have my hand on the trigger. My wonderful weapon, rock jigger rock snatch 'em, we'll fling 'em right back as quick as we catch 'em. We'll have no more nonsense, we'll take no more gup from you Ukes who eat bread with the butter side up." "I have failed, sir," I sobbed as I made my report to the chief Ukaroo in the headquarters fort. He just laughed. "You've done nothing at all of sort. Our slingshots have failed. That was old-fashioned stuff. Slingshots, dear boy, are not modern enough. All we need is some new-fangled kind of gun. My boys in the back room have already begun to think of a whopping whiz-zinger one. My bright boys are thinking. They're on the right track. They'll think one up quick and will send you right back." They thought of a great one, they certainly did. They thought up a gun called the Kickapoo Kid, which they load with powerful poo-a-doo power. ants' eggs and bees' legs, and deep and dried fried clam chowder. And they carefully trained a real smart dog named Daniel to serve as our country's first gun-toting spaniel. Then Daniel, the Kickapoo Spaniel, and I marched back toward the wall with our heads held up high. Everyone cheered, and their cheers filled up the sky. Fight, fight for the better side up, do or die. Well, we didn't do, and we didn't quite die, but we sure did get worsted. Poor Daniel and I. Van Itch was there too, and he said, the old pig, the boys in my back room invented this rig called the 8-nozzled elephant-toted boom blitz. It shoots high explosive sour cherry stone pits and will put your dumb kickapoo kid on the fritz. Poor Daniel and I were scared out of our wits. Once more by Vantage I was bested and beat. Once again I limped home from the wall in defeat. And I dragged and I sagged, and my spirits were low, as low as I thought they could ever go, when I heard a boom ba and a diddle dee dill, and our butter up band marched up over the hill. The chief Yukaroo had sent them to meet me, along with the right side up song, girls to greet me. They sang, "Oh, be faithful, believe in thy butter," and they lifted my spirits right out of the gutter. My boy, smiled the chief Yukaroo, we've just voted and made you a general. You've been promoted. Your pretty new uniform's ready. Get in it. The big war is coming. You're going to begin it. And what's more, this time you're certain to win it. My boys in the back room have finally found how. Just wait till you see what they've puttered up now. In their great new machine, you'll fly over that wall and clobber those buttered down zooks one and all. Those boys in the back room sure knew how to putter. They made me a thing called the utterly sputter, and I jumped aboard with my heart all aflutter, and steered toward the land of the upside down butter. This machine was so modern, so frightfully new. No one, no one knew quite exactly just what it would do. But it had several faucets that sprinkled blue goo, which somehow would sprinkle the zooks as I flew, and gum up that upside down butter they chew. I was racing pell-mell when I heard a voice yell, "If you sprinkle us zooks, you'll get sprinkled as well." Van Itch had a sputter exactly like mine, and he yelled, "My blue gooer is working just fine, and I'm here to say that if Ukes can goo Zooks, then you better forget it, because Zooks can goo Ukes." I flew right back home, and as you may have guessed, I was downright despondent, disturbed, and depressed. And I saw just as soon as I stepped back on land, so were all of the girls of the Butter Up Band. The chief drum majorette, Mizuki and Sue, said, "That was pretty sour flight that you flew, and the chief Yukaroo has been looking for you." I raced to his office. The place was a sight. "I have no fears," said the chief. "Everything is all right." My bright backroom boys have been brighter than bright. They've thought up a gadget that's newer than new. It is filled with mysterious mook lackamoo, and can blow all those zooks clear to Salamagoo. They've invited the big boy boomaroo. You just run to the wall like a little nice man. Drop this bomb on Zooks just as fast as you can. I've ordered all the Ukes to stay safe underground while Bitsy Big Boy Boomeroo is around. As I raced for that wall with the bomb in my hand, I noticed that every last Uke in our land was obeying the Chief Yukaroo's grim command. They were all bravely marching with banners aflutter down a hole for their country and right side up butter. That's when grandfather found me. He grabbed me. He said, "You should be down that hole, and you're up here instead. But perhaps this is all for the better somehow. You'll see me make history, right here and right now." Grandpa leapt up that wall with the loopless leap, and he cleared his hoarse throat with a boopless beep. He screamed, "Here's the end of the terrible town full of Zooks who eat bread with the butter side down." And at the very instant we heard a clup clup of feet on the wall, and old Vanich clumped up. The boys in his back room had made him one too. In his fist was another big boy boomeroo. "I'll blow you," he yelled, "into pork and wee beans. I'll butter side up you to small smithereens." "Grandpa," I shouted, "be careful, oh gee. Who's going to drop it? Will you or will he?" "Be patient," said Grandpa. "We'll see. We will see."